Storm DJs Podcast.
Welcome one and all to the Storm DJs interview podcast, where we meet and interview the best DJs and musicians to find out all about them, their music and their favourite sandwiches. To record this week's interview, we're back at Higher Space headquarters, which is the Biscuit Factory in London. This week we welcome the jolly DJ Jet Boot Jack, famed for his brilliant bootlegs and remixes. We find out all about him in his interview, and then following on from that is his awesome bootleg fueled mix. So sit back and enjoy. So Jet Boot Jack, welcome to our amazing Storm DJs podcast interviews.
Amazing, thank you.
We've been trying to get hold of you for a while now, and we're glad you finally made it to come and see us and reveal everything about you.
Yes, good to be here. Thank you.
So let's just dive straight in with the hardest question of all.
All right.
Which is, what is your stage name? Which I've just announced anyway. And where did it come from?
So Jet Boot Jack was a computer game back in the 80s on, I think probably Amstrad or something like that I used to play. And it was actually sort of set in had a musical theme to it. But I just really liked the name. I thought I make a lot of bootlegs, and I thought it's quite a apt name and dynamic, and
so it certainly rings something special, that's for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
We haven't got anyone else on the books with a name quite like that. Did you ever have any other sort of names?
Yeah, I've DJed for a long time and produced records and stuff, and I used to put out stuff under DJ Kaya, which was just like it's a Bob Marley track which I really liked, and I just kind of picked up on that when I was a kid. Reggae was always one of my favourite things when I was young. So.
When was the switch over between the names then?
So it was kind of when I started making bootlegs, I kind of wanted to keep it separate from the legitimate productions that I'd done in the past. So it was kind of I wasn't too sure how the bootlegs would be received, and they ended up doing very well. So I was happy to make it my main name, instead of hiding behind behind a pseudonym.
I mean, from the sort of starting point when we got to know you, you were already doing pretty well in terms of the bootlegs you put together and the listenership essentially that you have on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And since then we've seen it go past, is it past 1 million yet?
Not quite, it should be 1 million, but definitely before the end of the year. It's climbing up, it's about 870,000 at the moment. So,
so you can't really complain about that.
Getting about 2,000 to 3,000 a day. So,
and that's people who are listening and downloading as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll give them all away for free, because I know, I don't know, it's probably quite a contentious issue, but I don't really think that people should remix other people's tracks unofficially and then charge for it. You know, I think that you're remixing someone else's work, and it's not official, so just give it away for free. You know.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. I mean, I suppose you've seen quite a few, you've witnessed quite a few sort of remixes, especially Bob Marley side of stuff recently in the charts. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
I mean, with envy, or you just
not at all. No, it's absolutely fine. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get licensed and to be able to put these things out officially, then fantastic.
Well, I'm sure with the amount of listeners and whatnot that you've got on your side, I'm sure something will crop up soon which will make your day, that's for sure. It's just a standard progression of things, I think. So how long have you been doing these bootlegs for?
The bootlegs probably only a few years, probably only about maybe 5 years, something like that, maybe even less. But I've always, I've been producing for a lot longer, and I've always made my own tracks to play out. But this was a kind of conscious decision to actually make stuff to put out there for other people.
And in terms of the style of these bootlegs, is there a constant style? I mean, from what we've heard, there's definitely a sort of definite house element in there, but
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, they tend to be between 118 and 130 BPM, so it's within the realms of house. I just, in terms of the structure, it's definitely a house structure with a drop and build up and breakdown. But it's kind of all about taking these classic tunes that everyone knows, and not generally. I don't add any of my own sounds or other than drums. It's about using the original stems, the original multi-tracks, and putting them together in a more modern, current way that is more dance floor friendly and easy to mix with.
So that's the style of your productions. When you're DJing, how would you describe your style?
Well, I think whereas the bootlegs that I make are fairly standardised, when I DJ, it's much more eclectic. I play all sorts of genres. I think if I had to sum it up, I'd say it's party music. It's just trying to recreate wherever I am. I try and create a party. Just get that intimate party vibe where everyone's having fun, and it's just a good time.
So that basically answers the question as well, which is, will you accept open format gigs? And evidently yes, because you want to play everything for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's a real weapon in a DJ's arsenal to be able to, I call it shift gears, where you change from drastically from one BPM to another, and it's a tricky thing to do. Smoothly. I'm a big advocate of doing these things smoothly. I know some DJs just sort of drop something in, but I like to make sure that my transitions are nice and easy for the crowd to come along with, to carry them along with. But switching from one style to another is it can have such a huge impact on the dance floor if you do it right.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the smoother it is, the less people really notice the transition, and therefore they're like, oh, okay, well that obviously fits with that.
I mean, it's the balance between it being jarring and a nice surprise, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. You've talked about your production work and so forth, and obviously your DJing. What's the sort of story behind how you got to that point in terms of production and DJing? Where did it all emanate from?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always musical. I started playing the piano when I was about 7, and went on to clarinet. And it wasn't really until I found bass guitar when I was about 11 that I really was able to move away from classical and jazz and towards the sort of music I was listening to, which was again very eclectic. Reggae, funk was a big thing for me, and I did the whole band thing. I was in a lot of bands when I was a kid. I was at a school which is very renowned for music. I had Miss Dynamite was in the year below me, and all sorts of members of Madness went there, and Eddie Grant, and other DJs as well. Heatwave, who are big ragga DJs, they were in my class. Johnny Burrell from Razorlight, he was at my school, so yeah, it goes on and on.
Excellent. So there's a sort of natural transition almost there from being in that school to being in a position.
Yeah, I mean it's in Camden, northwest London, which is where I grew up, and really being in that environment, especially at that time, which was the early to mid '90s, it was very hard to not be involved in music. It was really the centre of things in terms of indie, obviously with the whole Oasis, Britpop sort of thing, but then also dance music, garage and jungle. There was a lot of venues there, Camden Palace and King's Cross just down the road with Bagley's, and a lot of record shops. And I just started spending more and more of my lunch hours in record shops, and I'll be the one who, the kid who sort of came back into class with a handful of records, and people were like, "What are you doing?" It was before DJing was cool. There was a time when that, and people thought it was really silly and a bit geeky to be going and buying records on your lunch break. But I showed them.
So, have you still got a huge back catalogue of vinyl now?
Yeah, I've got about 8,000 records,
oh, wow.
a lot of them, I'm very sort of pleased that I picked a lot of them up very, very cheap at the time. I remember going to the record shop and there would be, they wouldn't even have a garage or jungle section. They would just throw them all in the bargain bin. So it was £1 per record, and these are records which are now worth 50, 60, 70, £100.
It's a good investment.
A piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I mean, on the subject of vinyl, what do you think of the sort of comeback in inverted commas of vinyl? And
yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I could sit here and talk all day about it, but I think that the difference in sound quality between vinyl and MP3 is huge. In that vinyl's got a muddier top end, but it's got a much warmer bass. And I've been out and seen a DJ play, on a massive system playing MP3s, and then the next DJ's come on and played vinyl, and it's just opened up the speakers, and people can tell something's different, but they don't really know why.
Yeah.
Having said that, when I used to DJ, I'd be lugging around 4 massive record bags full of vinyl, and that wasn't much fun.
Yes, we can all relate to that one. Broken backs and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's your sort of stance on vinyl at the moment. Do you think there's a sort of almost a fad element to how it's been, put around the press and so forth, in terms of you've got these certain people who go out and buy records that might not even have a record player, for example. They're just like, oh, well, I have to buy records because the press have told me it's the thing to do.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you look at the everyone's saying that record sales are rising, but if you look at the actual what is selling, it's all the classic old albums, from the 70s and 60s and 80s, and what that kind of suggests is that a lot of it is people who used to have vinyl collections and got rid of them, and now in their middle age they've got their man cave, and they've gone out and rebought all their old vinyls. So even though it is a bit of a renaissance, it's nowhere near how it used to be. I mean, it used to be, go to a record shop and there'd be, every week there'd be 50, 60, 70 new releases, just within, say, garage or jungle, and you'd go through all the white labels, and it was exciting, hugely exciting, and it's a completely different process to now. I mean, people really don't appreciate now that if you heard a tune on the radio, on pirate radio, it's not like they would tell you what the name of the tune was. You'd have to somehow find a way of finding out what that tune was, and going and searching for it, and or even going through second-hand record shops and trying to find it there, and that whole process has been lost, and it was a really tough process. But when you found something, it was really worth it.
Definitely. So it's sort of more of a rarity concept, I think, isn't it, in terms
Absolutely,
of just trying to find that thing because no one else has got it, and it sounds amazing, and I want to be the one with that sound.
Absolutely. But also, even if you weren't a DJ, if you wanted to just hear this song again, you'd have to go out and buy the record, because there was no other way of hearing it.
Excellent. Staying back in the past, can you tell us about your first ever gig? What happened, and if you remember that?
Yeah, I probably can't remember specifically the actual first gig, but the first gig which really had an impact on me was when I was probably about 17, and someone at my school had a birthday party, and he had a bit of money behind him, which was fortunate, and he hired Ray Keith, who was a big jungle DJ, and MC GQ, who was a big jungle MC who's still going, and he put on this party in Camden, and so I was the other DJ, so it was me and then Ray Keith, and I had MC GQ MCing over me, and to do a set like that, and then to sort of finish it and have both GQ and Ray Keith go, that was a really good set. That kind of made me think, okay, this is something I could do.
Excellent. Well, hopefully one of our future podcasts will have Ray Keith, and we can refer back to you on that one. Excellent. And in terms of gigs, how far have you travelled? I mean, what's the furthest location you've travelled for a gig?
I mean, to be honest, most of it I've done in London or the UK. I've done a few festivals in the sort of outskirts, but I've been more focused on building up a a reputation within sort of clubs and bars here, rather than jetting off abroad and doing the one-off gigs.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And your current, what are your current residencies?
So at the moment, the main one is Barrio. The Barrio Group. They've got 4 venues: north, south, east, west, and it keeps me very busy. I DJ for them 3 nights a week. Excellent. And it's just fantastic because it's a really good vibe. They're Latin themed, but very much open format.
Yeah.
Probably about 20% of the stuff I play there is Latin. Everything else is just a wide range of stuff. And again, it's a party every night, which is it's always a really good crowd and always busy. And the fact that there are 4 different venues, it never gets boring because I'm rotating between them.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate. It's a great residency to have.
Definitely. What's the average number of Jet Boot Jack tracks that you play in a set there?
I mean, the actual tracks which I put out on my SoundCloud, it's probably half a dozen of them that I'll play or something. Okay. But the majority of the stuff I play is something that I've tweaked, edited, remixed in some way myself.
And do you get quite a lot of people coming up and asking, where do I get hold of this?
Yeah, generally a couple of times a night I'll have someone come up and say, what's this track, or what remix is this? And I just have to say, well, I made it myself.
Because Shazam isn't working.
Yeah, that tends to be it. Yeah, you see people with their phones up to the speakers, and I'm looking at them like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Excellent. So we know part of the answer to this, but what was your first ever music purchase, and what format was it? And I'm assuming it's vinyl, but it could have been a cassette, I guess.
Actually cassette. And again, I'm not too sure if this was my absolute first thing I bought, but it was the first thing which really shaped what I'm doing now. From when I was very young, when I was 10 years old, I went out and bought a tape which is called Mega Bass, which was something which there were 3 volumes of them in 1990 and 1991, and it's something that was around at the time. No one, I don't know, it was kind of a short-lived thing, but they were called mega mixes.
Yeah.
And it was about 60, 70 tracks all squashed together, mixed together, on a tape, so it couldn't have been more than 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And it really was so formative on me. They weren't even. It's not even like they were mixed in the way that DJs would mix tracks. They were mashups, but a continuous mashup. So a 40-minute mashup of 30, 40 tunes, and these were fairly underground tunes. There were a couple of commercial things in there, but it was mostly pretty underground house, Chicago house, Detroit house, bit of hardcore, bit of old 90s soul, and hip hop, and I was 10 years old. And
that's impressive.
And I just it really just changed my whole. A lot of the influence that I had in terms of my musical taste came from my elder brothers and sisters, which was all the reggae and indie and funk and everything. But this was the first thing where I'd actually found something myself, which was my own thing.
Yeah.
And I remember on the last day of primary school. So I must have been 11, and everyone was bringing in you could bring in your own music for the last day of school. Everyone was bringing in Bad by Michael Jackson and Madonna, and I brought in this tape of banging underground Detroit house. But
So how do you, as it was a sort of mashup of sorts, way back when, how do you think the production?
They must have had the original tapes, and actually gone in the studio, and it must have taken them forever. It must have been tape editing, not digital editing. So splicing and original, having the original multi tracks, and it was done so well. And I then went out and bought them again on vinyl, and I've actually got them on CD as well. And listening to them now, they're amazing. They're amazing pieces of work, and completely formed my style of DJing and production.
Excellent. At this stage, does your music career fund your life, or do you have anything else on the side to side businesses? Or anything?
Well, as I say, I DJ 3 nights a week, and that's a nice. It's a regular salary, you know. Yeah. It's it's a very fortunate position to be in. Yeah. But aside from that, I've got 2 other jobs. One is as a screenwriter and director. Really? I've made several films which have won some awards, done very well on festival circuits, and got distribution and broadcast deals. I've also had a bunch of scripts optioned. So that's a big part of my life. And then
any films we should sort of take note of?
Nothing that it's mostly on the film festival circuit. Yeah. But the scripts I've had optioned have been with people who've worked on things that you would know. So I've had a script option by the guy who produced Birds of a Feather and Lovejoy and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of in that circle. I'm not quite at that level yet, but I'm making inroads, and I've got a great agent as well, who, funnily enough, used to work in music management and has managed everyone from David Bowie to Fleetwood Mac to Joe Cocker. So he's fantastic. And then my other job I do as well is I do freelance work in broadcast ops for TV networks. So for people like Discovery and Sky and A&E, and it's just behind the scenes ensuring that all the TV programs go to air as they're supposed to.
Lots of talents there in your daily life, I see. Excellent. So at this stage, we're literally going to go through a list of quite random questions, which you may or may not know already. I'm not entirely sure. So starting out with the craziest, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
I don't know. I think that the question kind of infers that there's some sort of normality, and to be honest, I think I've never met a normal person. You know, I think everyone's pretty weird.
So give us a number.
I think everybody's a 5. Let's say.
Okay.
Everyone's weird in their own way. That's why humans are so interesting.
What is your spiritual practice? I'm assuming music, but
yeah, I mean, I really, you know, as it's something that I've been doing since I was a kid. I've never had a time in my life when I didn't go raving. It's hugely important to me. You know, it's something that I need to do for my spiritual health every now and then, preferably with a good group of friends. And I think, you know, as a DJ as well, I think it's very important to go out and hear what other people are playing.
Yeah, very true.
And even sort of just throwing the odd house party and having your mates around and just connecting with the whole thing of why you're doing it. You know, that it's all about giving people enjoyment. You know, I think people tend to forget that it's the leisure industry, which means it's an industry, but it's also about leisure.
Very true. What would you do in the event of a zombie apocalypse? Festival maybe, Zomfest 2018. They don't sleep, do they, zombies? So it'd be a great crowd. Could keep going and going.
Their dancing might be not too energetic somehow.
But yeah, probably look like every other festival by 5 in the morning. But yeah.
Very true. Tell us about something you're really not very good at.
So I went on a stag do last year and did go-karting, and I was really bad. I was really bad. And the organisers kept stopping me and saying I was being too aggressive and reckless, and I was like, I'm doing my best. I honestly am. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I was very bad.
Does that apply to your normal driving as well?
I don't drive. That might have been the key to it.
Yeah. Could be the missing element. Talk us through your morning routine, if there is.
So yeah, well, I mean, every day is different for me. It will be. I'll know if today is going to be a music day, in which case I'll be just sitting down and remixing, or if it's a freelance day where I'll be out in the offices of Discovery or whatever channel it is, or if it's a writing day where I'll just be sitting down and writing.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have that variation, and nothing ever gets boring. So yeah, it's just cool.
Excellent. Tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
I don't like cake, and it becomes an issue because every birthday, every time there's an event, something, have some cake. And I don't like, you don't like cake? How can you not like cake? And I also don't drink tea or coffee. And it's not, you go anywhere. No, do you want a tea or coffee? No, I don't drink tea. You don't drink tea or coffee? Fantastic! Yeah, but yeah, living in the UK, it's not drinking tea or coffee and not eating cake is like just
It's cardinal sin.
Yeah.
On the food subject, what's your ideal sandwich?
So again, another reason why I'm really lucky at Barrio is that they do amazing food, and I get a bar tab every night, which very generous, which I can use on either drink or food, and I'll have a couple of drinks, but I'm not a big one for getting drunk when I DJ. So I tend to buy a bunch of food, take it home with me, and after doing a 7-hour set at 4 in, there's nothing better than having some lovely Mexican or Latin-inspired food, which I sort of generally.
The kebab any day.
Absolutely, yeah. Just throw it in a wrap and put it in the grill, and it's great.
Excellent, perfect. So finally, what song or track would you choose for the End of the World party, and why?
Well, I know a lot of DJs like to sort of chill things out towards the end of the night, and occasionally I'll do that, but generally I like to just build and build and build and build, and then go out on a big bang. And a big track I like to use at the end of the night is James Brown, I Feel Good. But obviously, like everything else I play, it has to be something slightly different. So I play like a live version of it, a live recording, which I then sort of chuck a bunch of effects on and stuff. And it's one of those tunes where I don't think it's ever come on and anyone's gone, I don't really like this song. I don't think I'm going to dance this one. It's just one of them ones that everyone loves, especially in the night. And I think End of the World, the way it ends would be great. And dead.
Oh, excellent. Well, thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Mr. Jet Boot Jack.
Thank you very much.
It's been great having you here. And we are basically, at the end of each of these interviews, we've got the DJ mix, and yours is going to be played straight after this.
Fantastic.
So everyone can have a listen to that, and hopefully there'll be a track list with it, including James Brown, maybe.
Who knows?
But thank you for coming down, and we'll see you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Cheers. Take care.
Storm DJs live mixes.
Walk around this town with your head all up in the sky, and I do know that starting something. I wanna be starting something. I got to be starting something. I wanna be starting something. I got to be starting something. I said you wanna be starting something. I got to be starting something. I said you wanna be starting something. I got to be starting something. It's hard to get over. It's too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle, and the pain is slender. It's hard to get over. It's too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle, and the pain is slender. It's hard to get over. It's too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle, and the pain is slender. It's hard to get over. It's too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle, and the pain is slender. You're not reaching that you're good, but you're always up to no good. You really can't make them hate her, so your tongue became a razor. Someone's always trying to keep my baby crying. Treacherous, cunning, declining. You got my baby
it's everlasting. Not clashing, not at all. But see, my wants to do a little action. Now that's for anyone asking. Give me one pass 'em. Drip, drip, drop. There it goes an orgasm. Now you coming out the side of your face. We tapping right into your memory banks. Thanks. So pushing the ticket, let's see your seatbelt fasten. Trunk rattling like 2 minutes in the back. Feet wrestling. Speaker box vibrate the tag. Make it sound like aluminum cans in the bag. But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that BASS bass? But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that BASS bass? I like the way you move. I like the way you move. I love the way you move. I love the way. I love the way. Yes, sir. I like the way you move. Keep up with me. Come sexy, you're so sexy. If you think you're sexy, I want you to come show me. Sexy girl. Yo, yeah, you're so sexy, now you're soul and wine. Step into the place, man, you look so divine. Man, you make you look like you're one of a kind. Ready, ready, you come have a good time. Ready, ready, you now wait in line. Ready, ready, you come give them the wine. Read them, take him and I have to let it go. Run the dance all, girl, you have the flow. Girl, you're so sexy, now you're soul and wine. Step into the place, man, you look so divine. Man, you make you look like you're one of a kind. Ready, ready, you come have a good time. Ready, ready, you now wait in line. Ready, ready, you come give them the wine. Read them, take him and I have to let it go. Bust the dance, me no roll, no. Lift your leg up. Girl, lift your leg up. Come, lift your leg up. Come, lift your leg up. Lift your leg up. Lift your leg up. Come, lift your leg up. Lift your leg up. Lift your leg up. Come, lift your leg up. Lift your leg up. Come, sexy girl. You're so sexy. If you think you're sexy, I want you to come show me. Alright? Yeah, you're so sexy, now you're soul and fine. Step in the place, man, you look so divine.
a jumbo jet. It wasn't easy, but nothing is. I got my head checked by a jumbo jet. It wasn't easy, but nothing is.
Seated in Mount Zion, it rules all creation. Yeah, we're jamming. I wanna jam it with you. We're jamming, and jam them hope you're jamming too. Channels the matters right, the truth again is high to keep you satisfied. I now exist is the law I can't resist. So jam by my side, we're jamming. I wanna jam it with you. We're jamming, 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 we're jamming. Hope you like jamming too. Jamming, we're jamming, we're jamming, we're jamming, we're jamming. I wanna jam with you now. We're jamming, jamming. I hope you like jamming. I hope you like jamming, 'cause I wanna jam with you. I hope you like jamming too. Ooh, yeah. Well, all right. We're jamming, 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 we're jamming. Hope you like jamming too. Jamming, we're jamming, we're jamming, we're jamming. I wanna jam with you now.
Storm DJs Podcast.